Okay. Hey Andrew, how's it going, man?
It's going great. So I don't know. It feels a little different today. Why does it feel different? What do you
I don't
think?
know. Had
Is
no
it feeling
idea.
different? It's just
Anything special?
another, another podcast. Jim Ed, remind me what podcast we are up to these days.
Well, welcome to Side Hustle Heroes podcast number 20.
Woo! Yeah.
Podcast number
Hey,
Bangtech.
you don't like the virtual high five? Let's do this. Come on, we can do that. Remember we used to do this we used to actually do it live, like you and I together. And
Yeah.
then I was still doing that for a while, and he's like, just please stop. But I miss
You
doing
missed
that.
that, don't you?
I
You
miss
missed
the
it.
physical touch, Jim Ed. I just don't. It's just virtual all the time. We're in the same. Actually, we're not really in the same city. I drove anyway. Just for our listeners, his son is in the band. Is a tuba. He plays a tuba, right? Is that thing is? Plays a
Yes.
tuba for Forney High. So, and they have a really good football team. So drove out there.
And,
My buddy.
and a really good band.
Oh, I don't know about that. Actually, the band is good. The
Yeah,
band is really
it's a
good.
good band.
But they played Longview, right? So Longview is number two or three, and
Two.
two, and then what is Forney? Actually, they probably dropped a little bit, didn't they, since they
Probably
lost?
dropped. They were number 10.
They had a chance to win the game, but they didn't. But yeah, high school football. My buddy and I, David, who refuses to watch our podcast for some reason, he's afraid he's going to be challenged. Probably. Yeah, David Parker. That's for you, dude. It seems like every time we name someone's name, they actually end up listening to the podcast and get offended. But you know what, David, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You probably haven't made it number one yet. But anyway, we've been hanging out, watching high school football games. It's been a lot of fun. But anyway, back to number 20. Why is that such a big accomplishment, Jim Ed? Like maybe you can, for those who are just kind of jumping in number 20 and don't know, they're like, what's the big deal about number 20? Maybe you can kind of remind us again. And, it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal to get 20 done. But yeah, but based on your information,
Well,
it's something.
not 90 something. I think it was the upper 90% of people who do podcasts don't ever make it to podcast 20. So, and that probably falls right in line with 90 something percent of all stats are just made up anyway, right?
Yeah, that second part is just weird, but because I mean I'm a stats guy, so I hope it's not made up.
No, I'd say it's probably not. It seemed legit.
Yeah,
So that's where we find ourselves today. And, I don't know what the right word is, but in the spirit, it will say, in the spirit of being podcast 20. And, Andrew and I would at least say that we've made it since we hit 20. We're going to go over some stuff like kind of some think about things like take the journey through of, how we got here and some of that fun stuff. We're going to, of course, as usual, go over our numbers. We'll do that really quick. Things have been a little different here lately, and here lately meaning the last quarter almost at this point, or at least going into the third month here of Amazon kind of being a little different. So yeah, we're going to take that look back, and then we have a big announcement. At least it's a big announcement, maybe a big announcement for you guys out there, but it's definitely a big announcement for Andrew and I. Some stuff that we've got up next. But yeah, man, let's jump right into it.
yeah. I think Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff too. It's like trying to make this about our listeners, but I think this is exciting for people for sure. It's exciting for us, but hopefully you guys can celebrate with us. Where this is kind of like Jim and I are talking, and when you have success, and we hear about it, we're excited. There's someone that just literally posted in our Facebook group that they got in Amazon influencer second level. So congratulations. I won't name her name, but won't say her name.
Did you
But
forget it? Because you could give her first name. I think it'd be all right.
okay, yeah. So
While Andrew looks that up,
Stacy, yeah, congratulations, Stacy. That's awesome. I know you've been trying to get in for a while, so that's really cool. I hope you listen to our podcast. That way we can take credit for getting you in. So did we help you get into the program in any form or fashion? Hopefully we did. If we don't, that's okay. But this has been good. So what do you want to talk about now? I think I think what I was wanting to talk about, Jim Ed, is just we made it 20. Yeah. And somebody might be listening saying, who cares, whatever. But I think in some ways, hopefully it's inspiration to you. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, if you're like, you know what, I got a lot of things to talk about, it'd be really fun to do this. I say go for it. I go for it. And it's not hard technically. I mean, literally, we're doing Zoom. If you're not doing Zoom, you just do your phone There's lots of software. You just record yourself and you upload it. How easy, how hard could that be? And
Yeah, I
we've
mean,
done
Andrew can do it.
yeah, exactly. But although I do, mess around with software a lot. So I'm a little bit above average as far as like, just because I've had to do that with my job. And you seem to be good in some ways and very weak in others. But
Where
yeah,
I try to keep it. Great in some areas, not so great in others.
yeah, that's good. It's good. But I would say that, it's been fun. I never thought about doing a podcast. And thank you, Jim Ed, for sort of encouraging me to do that. And
You're welcome.
it's actually helped a lot because I was never really, even though I was on camera a lot for work, I wasn't really that comfortable when I knew I was being recorded or watched by others. And then so I did a couple of these, they're called one-on-ones, like literally like what we're doing right now. That was a lot of what I did for my job. I didn't do a ton of it, but I did do some. And I always felt a little uncomfortable knowing that the client could be watching. I don't know who this person is I'm talking to. Obviously, with you, I'm very comfortable. But I did like 8 of those on Thursdays. And that's a whole other thing I wasn't even trying to talking about. But another side gig just fell in my lap is a research side gig, and it's what I have experience with. And did 8 interviews, 1 hour interviews, and it was fun. And I felt very comfortable on camera, and in the past I felt just awkward. I don't know why, but I think just doing this has really helped. I don't know about you, Jim, but it's really helped me to feel a lot more comfortable on camera and even just presenting myself or presenting some thoughts. It's really helped me. So the application there is, guys, if presentations, if public speaking, those kind of things are scary to you or something that you need to do a lot of, a podcast is great because you can get somebody you're comfortable with and just kind of practice. I mean, there's not going to be, most likely not thousands of people watching your podcast all at once. It's going to usually scale up. So when we first did our podcast, we had 5 or 10 people probably that watched it. And I had no idea, Jim. I wasn't even sure how we are gonna get anyone to listen to our podcast because there's thousands of podcasts on Spotify, right? Or thousands of podcasts out there. I'm a little surprised when I see our numbers that wow, like there's lots of people watching. Not obviously
I
not.
think there's actually like hundreds of thousands of podcasts, but
Yeah,
some of them
yeah.
probably aren't still active.
And I was even telling my dad I think he should do a podcast, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm real private and stuff." Well, I used to be private also. But anyway, that's pretty cool. So Jim Ed, what sort of surprised you along the way, like with this podcast? Anything that I know you don't see all our numbers necessarily. I look at the dashboard. I've told you our numbers, but just in general, anything that surprised you, pleasantly surprised you, or maybe I don't know. I don't want to say discourage you, but maybe you had higher expectations in some ways, but maybe not. What do you think?
So yes, our numbers for our podcast are not earth shattering by no means. We're not going to be on the cover of top 10 podcasts in America anytime soon. However, we do have some big news here at the end, so be sure and stay tuned for that, or skip ahead, whatever you want to do. But
Yeah,
what I
I don't want to.
expected, Andrew,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
one of the things I wanted to do, there was something popped up real early with my pretty large numbers for my Amazon influencer account, because my Amazon influencer account went from 0 to 6,000 within 60 days. You know, and that has been my largest month, sure enough. But it was due to some seasonality, so that was not expected by for sure. But that got some attention of some people who maybe said they wanted to have us on their podcast, and this is kind of a big deal. So that was the point. I think I brought it up to you and said, Andrew, we need to start doing a podcast, because
Yeah,
even if we only get 3 or 4 podcasts done, at this point, you and I will be a lot more comfortable on a podcast together. And
yeah,
we'll kind of at least be in the rhythm of it. You and I will be in each other's rhythm of doing
yeah.
a podcast. So that was my main expectation. I've been doing a YouTube channel for 5 years. So I've been down this journey of starting something brand new and kind of how it works. And it's actually going pretty much exactly as expected. You start off with just nothing hardly for people watching it. And then you fool around and get about 200 podcasts under your belt. The next thing you know, you got 70,000 people watching the podcast. That's just kind of how it tends to work. As they say, you work really hard for several years and then you're an overnight success. So right now we're doing our work of the several years right now. And hopefully, one day we'll just be an overnight success with the podcast.
It is going up, which is cool. It's like it goes up because the more podcasts you have, the more people are watching. So, and I think that because you have this library of podcasts, people are finding you in different ways. So
that and what'll probably happen, Andrew, is we're going to get on a podcast one day that's a lot bigger than ours, or two or
yeah,
three, and they'll go, oh, well, let's check these guys' podcast out, and they will, and then they'll see that, oh, well, we've got 30, 40, 50, 100 podcasts on there, and they'll start kind of listening to them. And that's exactly what happened on my YouTube channel. Is I had, I finally got up to about 500 subscribers. At that point, you could hit the Amazon Associates program, but not until 1,000 subscribers can you hit the YouTube, to get commercials that pay you, monetize it. And, I hit 500, and then I had a video hit. Took me over a year to get to 500. And then once I hit 500 and had a video hit, days later, I was over 1,000.
yeah.
So, that's what I do expect here.
It's really interesting. It's really trending up with podcasts, and I was talking to my wife about this, and she's like, it is weird that I said most people are not watching us, they're listening to us. And just think about going back to the 1940s and 50s. There's television, but radio was huge. People listened to shows on the radio. I don't know that there's podcasts per se, like where people were talking like what we're doing. There wasn't that kind of content. But there are shows, that people would listen to instead of watching them. And it's interesting how we're so modern right now. There's a lot of video content, but people like to digest content by listening because they're driving in their car. They're too busy to sit down, probably. People are probably too busy to say, oh, I'm going to watch podcast number 20 today. I'm going to sit down instead of watching my TV show. And I'd be interested to see where our listeners are. But if I had to venture to guess, it's probably when they're walking, they're walking the dog, in the car, running errands. It's probably unlikely that they're sitting there. They sit down and they say, let's watch this podcast for the next hour while I'm at home. It's probably pretty unlikely, right? But it's interesting. It is interesting though it's interesting that that's the way it is. And podcasts are huge right now, a lot bigger than they were, I'd say, than 10 years ago.
Well, for sure. I mean, most of mine is while I'm driving, but sometimes I'm working out in the shop, and especially with Spotify now on my TCL TV that Andrew makes fun of. It's got
you guys start somewhere, Jim Ed.
Yeah, I'll get there one of these days.
You'll get there.
It's got the Spotify app on there, and a lot of time, the thing I do like about Spotify is it has the video. But I'll tell you, very few podcasters are like us and do the video. Joe Rogan does the video.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll turn him on the app on the TV, and I'll just have it on in the shop and kind of listen to him as I'm out here working.
Yeah,
and,
so you have it on video,
but
you're listening. Yeah, so I don't know what to really expect when I started this thing. I honestly was thinking, I wasn't thinking big numbers. I was thinking we may just never grow it. It may just be a couple, 10 people or so that listen to it, and maybe not even anyone finding us. We're just sort of out there in this black hole or this vacuum where we're practicing, we're getting better at it. Maybe we tell our friends about it and they listen. Some of our friends are listening for sure. But there's other people that, every week people are joining our Facebook group and like I asked them the question, how do you find out about the Facebook group? And the majority of them are through your podcast. And there are some spammers that are, and by the way, on our Facebook group, there's a bunch of spammers that are hitting Shopify, like drop shipping on Shopify. If you did see this, or if you're even familiar with it, I did all that drop shipping on Shopify before. Yeah, you can make a lot of money for sure, but most likely these people, they're all saying the same thing. They took some course, and the guy's probably saying, this is what you say. You get in Facebook groups, you join the Facebook groups, you put these big numbers on there, and then they're going to follow you, or they're going to message you, private message you, and then you're going to sell them my course. That's probably how it works. And so I've already banned a couple of them who are doing this. And so, if you guys are listening to a podcast and you're like, hey, how dare you? I'm sorry, but I'm just assuming. I make some assumptions, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one. But we need to protect our group from people who are trying to prey on them. So I'm sorry, guys. If any of those people have contacted you, just let me know. Let us know for sure. But I'm definitely open to side hustles for sure. I mean, I'm doing some drop shipping. I've done a lot of drop shipping before, and I'm doing some now with my coffee brand, and it's not as easy as it looks for sure. So TikTok is actually sort of the new Shopify in a sense, where they have a store. And I didn't talk about this last podcast, but there's ways to basically drop ship products and you have your own store out there and get some organic traffic. So if you have the right combination of a really cool product and you do a really fun video, engaging video, you can make money without doing any advertising. You can sell a lot of products. And there's been people doing that. Did you watch that video I sent you? I don't know if you did, but you normally don't. You normally say, not my kind of video, or you're just like, nah, I didn't get around to watching it.
Yeah, I watched that one about that comedian that wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't the comedian. It's that guy that guy who's basically making a ton of money doing drop shipping on TikTok. And these two guys are his mentors. And that one dude seemed like he's pretty much on high on cocaine or some sort of drug, sitting back, all like just weirding out in the background during this video. So maybe you forgot about it.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. It sounds like it's been a while.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I will comment on the TikTok thing. What I've been seeing, there's a few people that's come across my feed, and then there's one that I guess I'm following. This guy, found his stuff kind of interesting, but he makes like high-end leather, planners, that kind of stuff, foldable things, wallets, probably not wallets, but leather goods, very high-end, nice leathers and everything. And he was explaining about how the TikTok shop works and what's happened, and he has gotten overran, and he hasn't learned that he will only allow 10 items to be ordered per day now, because he's like, I'm sorry, some of you guys have been waiting 3 months for this product. I didn't know that they would I could sell 300 products in one day, because I make these, it's a one-man show. I make these by hand, one at a time. So he's like,
amazing.
For you guys that's been waiting 3 months, I'm sorry, but I'm making them. So like he was just saying, I've had the store turned off for a while, and that's why. And I was like, wow. But that's what I've been seeing, is like people who are making products themselves. Like, I'm going to make a custom tumbler that says, something on it that's custom.
You're going to make that?
Or tearing it up.
You're going to?
I am not.
I think you said you're going to. You said
no. People that do that seem to be really tearing it up on TikTok.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like always, if you can come up with something that's unique and your own, you could do really, really well on any marketplace. But I think what happens is people just copy somebody else. It's a lot easier to copy somebody else. And that's one of the things they're actually saying for drop shipping. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just look at someone else who's having success and mimic that to a certain extent. So that's one way to do it. But I like what you're saying. It's just more authentic when you come up with something that no one else is doing right now. But back to the podcast thing, I think what's really cool is like you and I are just chit chatting. Like, we talk on the phone all the time, but we're a little bit different on this. We're a little more cleaned up, I think, on this podcast. But you think, like, are people really interested in listening to us talk about this topic? And I guess so, right? It's kind of like, sometimes it's a little humbling to realize that it's a little bit like, it makes me a little bit tense sometimes when we're talking, saying we got to be really interesting and we got to be engaging. We need to, like, I'm afraid we're going to be boring or something, but maybe for some we are boring, but for those who keep on listening, we really appreciate it. But I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think it's cool, the opportunity to have a forum like this where we're talking, we're learning together, we're sharing stories, and, we're able to help some people as well. So I think in my heart of hearts, whatever, that's maybe a religious term, whatever, but it's really cool to know that maybe we are helping someone have more success with business, whether it's Amazon influencer or it's just living their life better. Who knows? But
yeah, I agree totally. I feel like people are pretty bored over this last segment.
Well, why'd you have to say that, dude?
Because I'm rude. I'm sorry. I still
maybe further in the future, we can be funny together without you insulting me. So
you said to make sure I agree with you more, so I was just agreeing with you.
You're such a well, can I say this? Okay, I'll say it. Yeah. I can't say it. I don't want to say that because I have to remove it later. All right.
So hey, let's go ahead and jump into our numbers. Hey, but before we do, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. So Andrew, why don't you kick it off with your numbers? Yeah,
my numbers absolutely miserable. So for some of the people, we had a virtual conference a couple weeks ago, or last week actually. And if you're joining our podcast from the virtual conference, someone asked us, "Hey, as Amazon influencer, those numbers going down lately?" And then we said, "Yes, indeed." So I'm going to say that even during this downslide, is that right? But whatever it's called. I've had some $25 days, $30 days, $40 days, and so on. But yesterday was one of those days you're just like, oh, woke up. Remember, I used to get up at like 4:30 in the morning and check my stats. I may have been up this morning. I checked my stats and I was just like, oh my gosh, $2.90 yesterday. And I got the weird thing about it, I got a return on something that I don't remember even selling in the first place. That ain't my product. Like, that's an insult right there, isn't it? Amazon's like, yeah, you didn't sell this, but we're going to go ahead and count a return on you.
I'm sure you sold it.
I don't know. Anyway, last 7 days, maybe like 6 months ago. Yeah. So last 7 days, $126. And that's a couple $100 below where I'm really comfortable. In the last 30 days, I'm still at 760, which is not terrible. But I did hit over 1,000 last month, even though, it was a pretty rough month. But yeah, it is what it is right now. I know we've talked a lot about the last 3 or 4 podcasts we talked about this, but I don't know what Amazon's up to these days, but I don't. Is this the new normal? Don't know for sure. And Jim, you're even saying too, what if it is the new normal? Well, share your numbers with us, because you've got 500 videos up. A lot of the hard work's been done. If you stop doing videos, you've sort of slowed down your pace a little bit, haven't you? Yeah. Yes. Maybe a little bit, but even despite that, a lot of the work has been done. So let's just say, share your numbers, and guys who are listening to this, think about if you made this much with a side hustle in a 30-day period, would you be happy with that? If this is the new normal, share your numbers.
So along with what you're saying, yes, Andrew, I have slowed down a bit, and I've got busy weekends, a couple in the rear view and a couple out of the windshield. I'm not going to be able to do a lot of videos.
Yeah.
So, that is what it is. So $65 yesterday. 7 days not going to look too bad, because I did have one fairly decent day in there. $573 for the 7-day. And then the last 30 days, I'm at $32.58.
Yeah, and guys, think about my numbers. Not very proud of $760. That's still a car payment.
Yeah, a nice car.
Right. It's a nice car payment, and that's money that goes directly. And you guys know, and this is my main income right now is Amazon FBA, and this is great when I get these checks here. $760, you can do a lot with that. Your money. Would you say 30? What did you say again?
30 days. I've got $32.59 actually.
$32.59. It's lower than you certainly been, but $32.59 is a solid salary. I know I've got friends that are not making that much a month. So you're
and like you said, the work's been. I haven't done anything lately on this.
Yeah. This is, well, I guess in a sense it is pre-taxes technically, right?
Yeah.
But after, whatever. But regardless, even after taxes, it's going to be $2,500 or so, which is pretty solid. So what I'm saying, guys, this is probably, is it going to go lower than this? I don't think it will. If anything, I think it's only going to go up, especially with seasonality. And if this is the new normal, get used to it. It's still certainly better money than a lot of side hustles for sure. It's still a ton more than what you made in your YouTube channel, which you spent lots of time invested in that, right? So
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I was talking with a lady from work. She asked me, hey, how's this going? And I said, it's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And she says, I said, it really started in August. And she goes, I haven't really ordered much from Amazon like I normally do here recently. So, maybe that's kind of a part of it. My clicks have gone
way down. One, but yeah.
Pardon?
Sample of one. But yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. True. Sample of one. But my clicks have gone way down, and we've heard that all the way around. And I mean, clicks equals dollars eventually for the most part.
Yeah. And so seasonality, it's about to just, October, November, December, things are starting to definitely go back up. I know with my Amazon FBA business, it's going up. It's going up for sure. The stuff I'm selling absolutely is. So Amazon is definitely tinkering with things. They did do a big payout with that this and that thing, whatever it's called. So that absolutely had to have impacted things. There's some person that made like $10,000. You didn't believe it though, did you? She said she made $10,000 because she got paid $50 a video. And so 25. She did
25. She did 500 videos. I
thought you said you got $50.
I did, but I haven't run into anybody else that got $50 a video.
Maybe she did.
Nah, she didn't.
It's still going to be it's still going to be. She made 10,000. So
I mean, really though, what if she did get 50 a video? Do you really think she made 250 videos? I think I made 6. Okay, I get it. I didn't like, put the full court press on it, but somebody's going to mess around and do 250 videos in a 6 week period, 5 or 6 week period.
they're getting paid 25, $50 maybe. But anyway, I didn't do any. And as it turns out, I think if I just would have used a tag, I probably could have got some money. But I didn't have any of those this or that things. I have no idea how she did it, but maybe who knows what she was doing. Okay, so but yeah, that could have something to do with it, but I don't know. But it's this is part of the fun. This is part of what we talk about. Every day I look forward to. This is maybe things are gonna, yeah, maybe things are gonna change. But I definitely feel like things will either stay at the worst they'll stay the same. At the best they will get better and things will kind of correct themselves. That's the way I look at it. I don't think.
Yeah, I try not to worry about that. I just need to
Yeah.
get back to shooting some videos. So I know
Yeah.
that my next few weekends are pretty covered up. So we're going to try to start shooting some videos a little more through the week, just to
Yeah.
get totally caught up on products that's come in, and then actually try to start going back to some videos that I need to do around my house as well.
Yeah, sounds good. So I think the third thing is that we're going to talk about is more about the podcast, but kind of looking back about what our mindset was a little bit. I think it's not less about how our numbers are going to be, but what we were thinking about back then. And then as far as content, like, and then where we expect this to go. Do we want to talk about Amazon influence in the future, other side hustles? So I don't know if I've thought about this a little bit, but I do have a couple of thoughts. But since I like to talk about things, as you know, talk and talk and talk, I'm curious, like if you don't have anything off the top of your head, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
got stuff.
Couple things. Yeah. Let me throw it over to you and see what you think. Like what your thoughts are. Just as for the first thing would just be when we first started, what were you thinking as far as like what we'd be talking about on this podcast?
Well, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I think I kind of come up with the idea for the podcast, right?
To do a podcast, yeah.
To do a podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
And my thoughts again was to be prepared to be a good podcaster if we're invited to be on a live podcast, which is part of the big news we got coming up really really soon here that we're going to tell to kind of towards the end of this
Dude, come on, Jim, man. Do the thing, man.
Ah, boy, I can't wait. So anyway, I do that a lot, and now my son does it too, and Andrew knows my son. So anyway,
yeah, Logs. What's up, Logs?
it's Mr. Logan Wright. So yeah, mission accomplished on that. And, I thought we would probably be doing mostly about Amazon, and we have, shoehorned in a few times some other side hustles that we were doing. You kind of talked about one that you just knocked out, finished up. I think you said you had 8 hours of working one-on-ones like this over video. And then what'd you spend another 8-ish on the
20 hours, 20 hours all in. Yeah.
You want to share how much you made on all that, or you don't have to?
Probably not, but it was I mean it was thousands for sure. So
Yeah,
it was good. I was very happy with that, the amount I made for the amount of time that I worked, for sure.
yeah. And so I've got some stuff going on the side as well still. I did a mailbox the other day that I'm trying to get away from, but I'm going to serve the people who are interested in where I'm getting referred. I'm not going to go out and search for this work, but when I get referred, I'm going to go help people. And then fence work, not looking for that either, but the same thing. I'll go help people as needed. And then the turf work, where that comes to me, I am taking care of that because there's a pretty high profit on my end and very low amount of work on my end other than going out and closing jobs.
Yeah.
So basically I get a referral or a warm lead come in, and I go out and I'll do the measurements on the job, talk to the customer, and let them know what the scope of work looks like. And then we can, whenever it's time to actually do the work, I've got a guy that I trust that I've worked with for many years that does the turf. He'll go out and do an excellent job on it. And then there's enough on there for me to make it worth my time and while. So I'm still doing that. But
Why,
yeah, I
why you
mean,
mention all this stuff? Is it in reference to the fact that, for our podcast, we've been talking about other side hustles a little bit?
right. Yeah. So just kind of give
Idea.
you a little background on that. But yeah, I kind of said all that to say I really, we've mentioned some of that. We've gone over a little bit of that, and I am still doing some of that,
Yeah.
but no more than I have to because I feel like I feel like this Amazon influencer program is a little bit of an investment. So I'm investing my time in making video reviews. Those video reviews are going to be archived into an Amazon, into the reviews and onto their on-site placement and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking this investment's going to continue to pay out as we go along because there are still videos that have been shot back in March of this year that I'm still getting paid on. So I feel confident that, some things drop off. I see some things coming back on.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to know I'm really going to know a lot more about that come about April of 2024 when my seasonal items that were just, knock it out of the ballpark money for me last year, we'll see what it looks like coming up this next year.
Yeah. So a little bit off the track of my original question, but it's still interesting. I know what you're getting at there. So, but what are you looking forward to our podcast? It's to say like, well, yeah, let's just say, yeah, go into next year. What's your idea? What's your thoughts about some things that, if you had to guess what we'll be talking about, will it be Amazon influencer? Will it be talking to having more guests on the show? We'll be talking about other side hustles that we're getting into, or what?
I would foresee it being even more about Amazon influencer. I don't know how it could be much more about it, but because it's probably 98%
Yeah.
Amazon
Yeah.
influencer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking probably 2024 we're going to get up to about 99% Amazon influencer.
Seriously?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, do we want to go ahead and announce what's coming up, or do you want to go ahead and get a word from our sponsor?
I'm not ready. I haven't talked about my stuff yet.
Okay.
I asked you about what you think. So I guess you could ask me, what do you think, Andrew, about the podcast? Do you care?
I do care, Andrew. I care deeply. So,
Sincerely?
Andrew,
Yeah.
sincerely, deeply.
Awesome.
So, Andrew, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
What do you think that the podcast is going to look like for 2024 and on?
Well, let me start with what I expected or what I was thinking about when we first started. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure that we had enough to talk about Amazon influencer. I was thinking, hey, let's just do a couple and then we'll just talk about other podcasts or sorry, other side hustles maybe. I wasn't really sure. And I think then when I lost my job, I was like, I need to focus on this Amazon FBA thing. And I don't know about Amazon influencer. I don't know how much time I'm spending on this. So, but luckily, I think you were sort of carrying the reign, carrying the, yeah,
Carrying the water?
doing what?
Carrying the water?
Carrying the water doesn't sound right, but
Now, that's it.
okay. You're carrying, there's something that you're carrying, but that was good. So you continued to spend a lot of time on it and we had a lot to talk about. And things got really interesting as well. There's always things happening with Amazon influencer swings. The swings made things exciting. One of the things that I don't think we really talked about too much, but I was really happy that we started getting people on our podcast. And I think those are some of the best episodes, having guests on there. That's been great. I wasn't sure that we'd actually would be able to get people on our podcast. So that surprised me. That's been a lot of fun. That takes a little pressure off of us as well. So that's been really cool. So yeah, going into next year, yeah, I think Amazon influencer for sure. I really do hope it continues to flourish and do really well. And that we have a lot of new people joining, a lot of people having success. That's going to be fun because think about all the guests we could have who have had success with this. Think about it, every week we could have a different guest that has a different perspective on Amazon influencers, right? So that'd be really, really fun. Another pot. So what if it doesn't do great, or what if it's just kind of like not really interesting, or there's not really anything new and we've exhausted everything, which I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe we talk about other side hustles. Maybe we talk about other business type stuff, right? So it could just be side hustles, or it could be a little more business in general. I don't know what those things are, but other guests perhaps that have different skills in different areas, right? So it's not going to just necessarily just be Amazon influencer. Maybe it's somebody who's big on e-commerce. Maybe they have a store that's really doing well, a legitimate person who's doing drop shipping, really who's having success, not a spammy person who's or scammy person who's trying to, doesn't actually making money, but we'll have to find a legit person. Maybe there's someone else who's whatever, small business advice. So there's entrepreneurs all over the place, and that would be really fun. I think it'd be cool. So I don't want it to get stale that all it is about why are you calling yourself side hustle heroes? It's all about the only thing you talk about is Amazon influencer. I would like to branch out, Jim Ed. I think this can be a big. I think Amazon influencer can be a continue to be a big part of this, but I would like to talk about other topics as well. So me personally, that excites me when I think about like other things, other guests, and maybe even you and I trying some other things, some other areas, other side hustles that we hear that people are being successful with it, and we maybe have some time to spend a couple hours a week pursuing a new side hustle. That sounds fun to me.
Well, let's throw that to the audience. How about them contact us, and you're going to tell them where to contact us, and let us know, hey, what would you like to see? I agree with you, Andrew. When we went to the conference, the PAC conference, my favorite class was the one about the Small Business Association. I thought that was super interesting. Really enjoyed having that.
Maybe that would be fun. I think Jimmy would enjoy doing something like that. So let's ask if he might want to talk about that. That was good.
Let's get a word from our sponsor. Andrew, let's get right to it, man. What is the big announcement we've all been waiting for?
Yeah, so we've talked about this a little bit, and honestly, Jim, we were talking about this. We've been talking about from day one when we started this podcast in May. We were thinking about possibly having a course, an Amazon influencer course, right? So we've been thinking about this whole time. You mentioned this already. The podcast is kind of like, let's see how we gel. Let's see if we have enough topics to talk about regarding Amazon influencers. We had some conversations. This is all where it all started. Jim Cochran, he's got his Facebook group, big, huge Facebook group. It's all about Amazon FBA. And we've talked to him. He's been great so far. We've helped some of his leaders out. He's been really happy and impressed with what he's seen so far. Like I said, we've kept in touch. The only reservation I think he had is Amazon influencer a match, a fit with his Amazon FBA crowd, his group. And so the more we talked, I think he's realized, yeah, it could very well be a fit. So it's a long time in coming, but the first step of this is he's got a huge podcast, Silent Sales Machine podcast. And he's invited us to be in that podcast. So we're going to be recording this in a couple weeks. We're really excited about it. We're going to be talking about probably a lot of it will be Amazon influencer, of course, but we're really excited about it. And are you going to hear anything new on this that you haven't heard anywhere else? The answer is probably yes, it actually is. Why? Because Jim Cochran has a unique perspective. I think he sees some things that we don't. He lives and breathes Amazon FBA plus lots of business ideas. So he's a business guy. He's a fun guy. He's a smart guy. So I think we'd love to introduce you to his podcast. So we'll definitely post with that podcast. In fact, we'll link up to the podcast now. We're all in this one together. There's no competition between our two podcasts. We're different. So we'd love for you to check it out. So that's the first piece of news. And I think it's exciting because I think if you guys are interested in pursuing some opportunities more than just Amazon influencer, there's some great opportunities with Amazon. There's some great content on his podcast about building a business in general. So and that's what I like about his podcast, Jim, that you've listened to some of them. There's some fundamental principles that are age-old principles for doing business. And so he's a smart dude, and we've really enjoyed getting to know him a little better. So that's the first piece. Jim, any thoughts about that before we share?
Yeah, it's exciting. The thing is to know that Jim he's at 73.9 thousand Facebook group people on there. It's almost 74,000 people on his Facebook group.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something that you get by accident. That's something that he had a ton of people at the conference. Andrew and I attended that up in Ohio, which is not close for us. We flew up there. It was awesome. you know, that is the podcast that we're going to be on here shortly. That's part of the big news. To me, that's almost for Andrew and I think that's bigger news than almost the class. It's just getting to be on his podcast. That's going to be really cool. Probably going to bring a lot of people to our podcast, which I'm excited about, but also getting to partner with him to put the class together. We've already seen a lot of stuff that he can do that's awesome as a partner. And if we do make any money on this class, he is getting a part of that, which is great. But it's like he threw together a website for us really quick to be able to have a landing page for people to sign up for the class. I guess, Andrew, we probably ought to let people know how they can sign up for the class if they're interested.
Oh,
You know,
just show their interest for
podcast as well.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
when I say sign up for the class, basically you're signing up for the information of the class once it becomes available. So that, of course, that part's free. It's just basically, hey, I'm interested. Let me know when it starts.
And guys, so the way this works, it's called PAC, Proven Amazon Course. It's I think, I don't know how much it is if you just buy it outright. It used to be around $300 something $100. It's more than that now. But there's a monthly subscription basically to where it's not much. It's like, I think that's like $20 a month, something like that. But we'll get that on we'll share that with you in the show notes. But if there is some interest in this course, then we strongly suggest that you join PAC, because it's more than just Amazon influencers. It's lots of stuff. And as a PAC member, you will get discounts on this course when it becomes available. I have no idea how expensive it is. We have no idea what the format is even going to be. We've got some ideas for sure how we're going to do it. But one thing's for sure is it's going to be a lot of detail, a lot of deep dives, a lot of the same content we certainly have on here. But I would think, I really do believe we're gonna dive deeper, and it's gonna be organized a lot better as well. There'll be some takeaways as well. There's gonna be some more structure to it, and I think there'll be some opportunities to hear from some successful people. I really do believe that Jim Ed and I, we'll certainly teach the course, but I think having case studies, having people who are successful, bringing those people into one place, that's going to be, I think, a big part of the selling point for this. So,
well, I would add to that our virtual conference, Andrew and I put a slideshow together, mostly Andrew. It was awesome. We covered a lot of great stuff. We had a bunch of questions towards the end, but a lot of it was where they just kind of come in a little bit late. But you join this, if you end up getting the class, it's going to be something that you can go back and rewatch. You're going to have access to. So it's going to be very well done. We'll assure you of that. The podcast is a podcast. We're kind of just off the cuff. We put a few ideas together and we just sit and chit chat about it. And that's kind of the podcast format. But this will be a class format.
Yeah, class format. I think it'll be video style for sure. But more to come on that. And you'll know when you get into it. You'll know exactly what the price point is. You'll know exactly what's going to be in the course. There'll be no surprises. But we're really excited, and we really do appreciate you guys who have listened to this. I don't know if it would change things. If we saw we only had 2 people listen to our podcast, would we have continued, Jim Ed? I don't know. We may not have. We may have said it's not even worth it. There's no interest in this. But the fact that it's continued to grow has really helped. And so I thank you guys for listening. I thank you for. I feel like we can celebrate these things because feel like you guys do care. You guys are listening to us. And we got some compliments. There's someone who had a question the other day and said that she really enjoys our podcast. So, whether you say it or not, I hope you do enjoy it. But when you do say it, it means a lot. I don't know.
It does. It sure does.
A lot to me when someone says, "Really enjoy your podcast," and then that means a lot. But the end of the day, it's not about our egos. It's about what I like about that is that you're getting something out of it, that we're helping you. So that's the thing about this. And so Jim and I, we can joke around a lot and have fun, but if all we did was joke around, not talk about anything, then where's the content? Where's the substance? But we've got some substance here. So we happen to find something that we actually have in common. Sense of humor, not necessarily. We were a little different as far as what we find funny, but luckily we found something that we both enjoy doing. And that's Amazon influencer, and it's doing a podcast. So yeah,
sure, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So your energy is a little low, Jim Ed. Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm tired. I have to have caffeine. I don't know how you don't even drink caffeine very often, do you?
Not really. No.
Yeah, I wonder if it might help you sometimes. You may want to consider doing caffeine. So, but
you might want to consider throwing out some more interesting content so I don't get so bored.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. My content is extremely interesting. You just You're just too tired to really realize it.
There
So
you go. There you go.
yeah.
Me.
Yeah, but yeah, we were doing some when I was doing those interviews. Yeah, it was fun making some people laugh, and it was just like, oh, that was funny. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
people not laughing when I'm talking. I wonder who that would be. Let me think. Oh yeah, Jim Ed.
Oh yeah, somebody you do a podcast with. Yeah.
Tough crowd there, buddy. Tough
Yeah, I
crowd.
know.
No, all good, guys. This is good. So hey, we're getting towards the end of the hour here. So, but yeah, we're really excited, and we will share a lot of this stuff in the show notes. And excuse me, but yeah, I'll throw some of that stuff out there. I'm trying to get this thing uploaded tonight. So if you're, we're recording this the same day. Usually there's several days go by before I actually get this thing uploaded. But today, it's like, hey, I don't want to go more than a week to upload this. So it's going to be hot off the press.
It's Andrew's fault you're not getting it Monday morning. So just put that out there.
Hey, I had that 20-hour gig, my friend. So
yeah,
while you were doing your whatever, I don't know, what you're doing today.
The people want their content though Monday morning. So
yeah, and for that,
I apologize you didn't have it when you wanted it.
I do like it, and one thing I realized, another thing about you, Jim Ed, is you're not the most empathetic person or sympathetic person.
Both apply.
You want to do it yesterday, but I was like, yeah, I'm up at midnight working on this project, and you're just like, can you not get up early Sunday morning and do it? Did you not hear what I said? Midnight Sunday morning. I mean Sunday night. So
yeah, but you drink caffeine, so it should matter, right?
It helps. It definitely helps. Hey, but you know what, Jimmy? I love you despite your, some of your wrinkles, whatever you want to call it. So
yeah,
your warts. Actually, I actually am the one with the wart. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that taken care of. If you are watching on video, don't make fun of my wart, please.
Yeah, it's right there above his eye.
Appreciate that.
See it there. I mean, it's basically while I'm doing the podcast, I'm looking at Andrew and I'm just staring at that.
Old salesman trick. Is that old salesman trick? The Office.
From The Office.
What was that? Jim was staring at Dwight's forehead and it drove him crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so why do you always wear your improvement channel shirt?
You got to support the brand. I mean, I could have a Ralph Lauren shirt on there, but what good would that do me?
Remember we had a discussion about the podcast. This is going way back when we were going to talk about being on Jim Cochran's podcast. I said, don't be wearing your improvement channel shirt. You're going to get special shirts made just for the podcast. Remember that's when we were talking.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months ago about this. So are you going to still wear this shirt to the podcast? Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah. I've got my fish shirt.
Yeah, basically the way it went was Andrew was like, man, don't be wearing that, man. Come on. I was like, dude, I'm going to get special shirts made now. And I did. I made 2 collared shirts as well.
Like collard greens?
Collared. Like
okay.
Polo.
Gotcha. I got you. Yeah, you do you, buddy. But
yeah.
So anything else to close on, Jim Ed?
No, we just need to wrap it up. I think it's over.
Saving part 1. Close it up, buddy. I don't close very good. Very well.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, everyone. I appreciate everybody joining us. You listening to the end does matter. We appreciate that. Catch us on Side Hustle Heroes HQ everywhere. Facebook group is the main place to find us. So if you haven't joined up there, please do so. You can also email us at sidehustleheroeshq@gmail.com. Andrew will get right back with you as soon as you send that over. I also do have access to that, and I may get back with you, but it'll probably be Andrew. So anyway, you got questions?
Get back to you. I've got access, but Andrew will get back to you, just like the Facebook group.
Exactly. Well, definitely on the Facebook group, I have access, but Andrew will get back to you. So yeah, if you want to be a guest, if you have questions, we will ask. If we find questions, we will answer them on the show, even if they're hard questions. So be sure and reach out one way or another. And yeah, if you want to be a guest on here, you think you got some interesting thoughts to add, we'd love to have you. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks, Andrew.
Long close too, but we'll close on that.
You should have just said thanks, Jim Ed, and that could have been the end of it. But now you're going to have to edit that. So you're going to be the one editing it. Have fun.
God bless you.
Bless your heart.
Bless your little heart, buddy. Take care.
Bless your little heart.
Bye-bye now. Love you.